Well, the question over here is, we're discussing about tchumen, if they could be b'havlo, if they can be intertwined together, can they overlap and they can mix into each other, and does that give it any power? So that means that if you have one tchum that's connected and together, intertwined with another tchum, does that give you the power to move all the way to the next one? So let's say you have 2,000 amas and another 2,000 amas, yet 1,000 are together. So can I now go by extension, can I go 3,000 amas? So the Gemara is going to try to prove that tchumen are always b'havla, that they're intertwined. So the Gemara says, Vatnan, Rabbi Leza on the top of Memhei Omer Aleph, Vatnan, Rabbi Leza, Emer Shtayim Yikonis, Gimel Lo Yikonis. What? You want to do that? I don't know. If you want to do that, we'll start from the two dots. No problem. So let's start from the two dots. So we learned that anybody who goes out to save somebody is allowed to go back to his place of origin. Right? If you go outside the tchum, if you had permission to go outside the tchum, and you went out to save somebody, you're allowed to go back to your place of origin. So the Gemara says, Vafilu tuva, because originally we said that anybody that goes out for rishos with permission and goes for a dvar mitzvah is allowed to go gets another 2,000 amas. Normally, if a person goes outside his tchum, he can only have 4 amas around him. Right? If you go outside your tchum, you can only have 4 amas around you. However, if somebody goes outside his tchum with rishus, that means he goes to dvar mitzvah. Let's say he goes to testify for kiddush hachodesh, or to help somebody give birth, or whatever it is. We'll see. Then he went outside for rishus. That means, and he has another 2,000 amas from wherever he is. So, however, the Mishnah then says, whoever goes out to save somebody can go back to his place of origin, go back from where he came from. The question is, so it seems from here that even more than 2,000 amas, he can go back. Let's say he left his house 4,000 amas behind. He not only does he have 2,000 amas from where he is now, he can go back to his house. So the Gemara says, how can you say this? In the Reisha we learned that if a person goes outside Rishos, all he has is 2,000 amas. We are not as machmar on him and say that he has 4 amas. We say that he has 2,000 amas. But do we say so much that he can go all the way back to where he originated from? So the Gemara says, we see not more than that. You know what it really means? You're right. It really means, when a person says chayzim kaiman, it does not mean they can go all the way back from where he came, from his place of origin. It means that if he had his weapons with him, let's say he was a fighter, and he went to fight the enemy, and he went outside his tchum, so he's allowed to take back his weapons, which are muktzah. You're only allowed to use it if you have a need. So he's allowed to take back these weapons with him to 2,000 amas. So the Gemara says, "My kusha, Dilma lahatzil shayni." What's the question? So the Gemara says, "Dilma lahatzil shayni." I would assume that to save somebody is different. It gives them a whole different protection. And the first part of the Mishnah is only talking about, let's say somebody went to testify for Kiddush HaChodesh, but it wouldn't give you any power. But if somebody goes and saves somebody, we say that has more power and he can take back his weapons. It's not. We learned in the Mishnah. B'Rishaina, what happened was as follows. In the beginning, when somebody came to testify in Bezdin and he walked outside his tchum, when he got to Bezdin and he did his job already, so right now there's no reason for him to go any further. He doesn't have an excuse, he doesn't have a shush to move any further than where he is now. He goes to Bezdin, so it said that he could not move more than Dal Damas out of his place. So a guy would go from some outskirt city outside Yerushalayim, he would trek all the way to way more than 2,000 amas out, go up to Yerushalayim to Bezdin and testify for Kiddush HaChodesh, and he'd be stuck in that room. Or if it would be outdoors, he'd be stuck in that Dal Damas.
That would discourage people from...
That's right. So that's what we said originally. Hiskin Rabbi Gamliel Hazakin Sheyesh Lana Payim Amo. But that discouraged people from coming. So Rabbi Gamliel said, you know what? We'll give you 2,000 amas. When you come up, you cannot go all the way back from where you came from, the original place. However, you have 2,000 amas around the city, like a regular city dweller. You have 2,000 amas around you after you testify, even though there's no need for you to go further, you have 2,000 amas l'chol ruach, every direction. V'lo elu b'vad amru, not only for these people, for those that are made the kiddush hachodesh, afilu chachma habal yalet, even somebody that helps give birth, habal hatzum and a guy, somebody that helps from invaders, min nohar, or he helps from a flood, to save people from a flood, min hapoilas, min adleika, from different catastrophes. Harei henka ansheir. So anybody that comes to save another person, even though he goes outside his chum, is allowed to v'yeshlan alpayim amal l'chol ruach. He has 2,000 amas in each direction. Okay, so that's a leniency that if a person comes in for a cause, then he's allowed to go 2,000 amas instead of only 4. V'sulai, these are the only cases that have permission to go more than 4 amas? V'sulai, v'amrit kol yetzin l'hatzah chayzin l'mkayim. We learned that anybody that goes out to save somebody, that means he goes out to fight, then he's allowed to go back to his place of origin. Afilo tuva, much more than just 2,000 amas. So you're telling me that it only exists, this case that you can go around 2,000 amas that were lenient, more lenient than just 4 amas. It only exists in these cases that were mentioned above. There's another one, and that is somebody that fights with the enemy. You know what it means? It means that he can take back his weapons with him to where he came. Now, why would a person be able to take back his weapons with him? You have to understand, there's a war, he fights the fight, and hopefully they win, and that's it. There's no need to take your weapons anymore. The weapons are mukta. So the Gemara says, really, originally that's exactly what they used to do. After they were finished fighting, they put down the weapons and they left it there. However, once the enemy recognized them, so they see the soldiers that didn't have any weapons, they saw them out in the open, so they were easy prey. They ran after them. So they ran inside the building to go get their weapons. And they were chased by the enemy. There was a big commotion. And they killed each other more than the enemy killed them during that battle. So therefore, so therefore, they said that, you know what, we see from this that there is never a case where somebody's finished with his weapons. It's always needed. So if it's always needed, he can take it with him even though the battle is done.
No matter how far it is.
Right. 2,000 amas. No.
2,000.
Rav Nachman Yitzchak Amar, Lo Kasha. You know what? We could have a different answer. You know when you're not allowed to take your weapons? That's when the Yidden won the battle. If they won the battle, so then the enemy's dead, it's finished, then nobody's going to chase them. So therefore, there's no need for weapons. However, when the enemy wins, so then you still have to have your weapons with you because you never know.
Well, wait a second. In the first case, when they put down their,
right, and they got chased. Obviously, they didn't win the battle. So maybe they thought they were able to retreat or whatever it was, but it was a mistake. Fine. Amar Yehuda.
Only save them if they don't move. They can't move past those 2,000 amas. If they're not at the city yet, they got to stay there with their weapons wherever they are.
They have 2,000 amas. If it's pikuach nefesh, they're allowed to run as far as they have to run. But obviously, it's not pikuach nefesh. Okay. Amar Yehuda Amar Rav. Whatever it is, the danger has passed, and now, right? That's the reason why they run to battle. They can run outside the Chum. That's because it's needed, right? That's because nefesh, it's needed. Okay.
I'm sorry. By the way, this is they have the techum because they established the techum before Shabbos, right?
Well, that's always right.
Right.
If not, you don't,
Exactly.
okay, we'll see.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Amar B'Yehuda Amar Rav. Nachem shetzar al yaris sheYisrael game that come and besiege Jewish cities and Yetzin Aleim B'Chizayin. You're not allowed to go out to them with warfare. You're not allowed to fight on Shabbos. What is this talking about? We learned so too in another brisa that you're not allowed to go out to war on Shabbos. When is it said? That's only when they besiege because they want money, they want to conquer, they want property. However, if they're coming to kill, however, if they're coming to kill, you're definitely allowed to go out and be Machal Shabbos. Now we say another additional halacha that it will be Ir Hasmucha L'Sfar, the city that's close to the border of the community. Afil Loy Ba'al Isken Nefashos, even if they're not coming for Isken Nefashos, they're only coming El Al Iske to have him v'kash. They only want property, they want food. You're allowed to go out against them because it's too dangerous. Once they start nibbing away at the border, so we're scared. So you're allowed to go out and be Mechal Shabbos against them.
How do you know that? How do you know that they're coming just for this or just for that? They're coming, God,
so obviously that's a good question, but obviously it has to be clear. Sometimes you can tell clearly that they're only coming for food. Maybe they stand outside. They say we want food, so we'll go away if you give us food.
We just want straw to light our fires.
Okay.
They said even if it's
Amar of Yosef. Yes, obviously it has to be clear. Amar of Yosef, Amar of Nachman, B'chol Ir Asmuchel Sfar Damya. Bavel ki Ir Asmuchel Sfar Damya. We learned that Bavel, we'll see in a second which city, Bavel is considered like the border of the community. The Terguma Naharda. You know which city in Bavel? It means Naharda. Naharda is the city that borders the community. That means that any enemy that comes and wants even food, wants to conquer, besieges the city just for food, you may be Mechal Shabbos to fight them. Darsh Rabbi Distai, how do you know it's halacha? The Darsh Rabbi Distai the Man Biri, Rabbi Distai from Biri Darshan. It says like this: Ma'idach Sivei Gidul David Lamer, Hine Plishtim Mucham Bekila. The Plishtim, it was told, there was a messenger told David that Plishtim are coming to fight Bekila. Vehemashaisim Esagrenis. They want the storehouses. They want grain. So Tana Kila Ir Asmuchel Sfar Haisa. We know that Kila was a city on the border of the community. However, it says clearly in the pasuk that they only came for Tav Mekash. They only came for property, for food, for supplies. It says clearly in the pasuk, and afterwards it says Yishal David Hashem Lemer Ha'elach V'Keisiv Plishtim. And we know clearly afterwards it says that David asked Hashem if he should go up and he should fight the Plishtim, and Hashem told him he should. So we sleeve Shata Sekila and you'll save Kila. So we see clearly that even if the enemy's only coming for property, if it's at the border of the community, you're allowed to go and fight them. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. Why did he ask Hashem if you're allowed to fight or not? Ilema Ishari. You don't go and ask God if something's mutter. You go and ask Bezdin, you go to Dayan, you go to Harav, you ask him, is it mutter to do X, Y, Z? You don't go to God and ask him if it's mutter. That's not the way things work. So why did he say, ask Hashem if he should go out and fight? Ella, the truth is that Shmuel obviously told him already that it's mutter. Why did he ask Hashem? He had a different question. He asked if he's going to win the war or not. That's what he wanted to know. And they can have it. One second. They can have it. It says that's true because the answer that God gave him was, go and fight Plishtim and you'll win. So obviously his question was if I'm going to win or not if it's mutter or not. If it's mutter or not, he asked the Rav already. He asked Shmuel. If he's going to win or not, that's what he asked God. Yes.
No, if you're asking, you're in between. Obviously you're going to win. You're not going to ask them because you're going to lose.
Well, you asked them if you're going to win. They've asked before, and they were.
You're going to win. You're not going to lose.
No, they asked before, and it said go to war. We know the case by Binyamin.
And they lost.
And they lost. They said go to war. They didn't say we're going to win. Okay, the Urim Tumim is one of the harder things to read, but it also doesn't mean that over there they asked the Urim Tumim. I don't know what they asked. Okay. Zak the Mishnah. Mishi Yesha B'derech v'Amad V'Ra. Hareyu Samach Lier. Now we know like this. There's halacha. Let's back up for a second. There's halacha that it is possible sometimes to be kind of shvisa, to be kind of your domain in a place that you want to be there, even if you did not put an ERU there, and if you didn't go there. If it's very clear, like you're traveling, and you're right outside the city, it's very clear. If you're inside the Tchum, I think, then it's very clear that you're going to be there, so that you kind of shvisa in the city. Now, however, what happens if somebody? Let's see the Mishnah. Now, what happens if somebody is tired and he's sleepy and he rests? And then he wakes up in the morning and he sees Harehu Samach Leir. He's so close to the city, he's inside the Tchum. So normally maybe he shouldn't be able to go there. Because he didn't have a mind to be kind of shvisa in the city. That's what Rameh holds, you're not allowed to go in. Rabbi Yehuda you may go in because it was simple that had he known that the city is so close and right there, definitely his mind would have been there. So therefore it's like he's allowed to be there. Amr Yehuda, there's a story that there was a story that Reb Tarfon was outside the city and he fell asleep, as we learned before, and He went into the city, so we see clearly that you're allowed to go in the city when it's clear, even if you fell asleep and you didn't know that the city is there. It's clear that you're allowed to go into the city when it's when you can tell that that's what he wanted, that he would have wanted that. Tiny Amar Yehuda Meiser V'Tarfon Shei Malach V'Darach V'Chashcha. What was the story? There was a story that Rav Tarfon went Shei Malach V'Darach V'Chashcha Loi, and a guy darker than him. V'Lan, and he went to sleep. V'Chutz Le'ir L'Shachris, in the morning. V'Tzur Rei Bakar, the shepherds found him. Amalei Rebbe Harei Ir L'Fanecha, the city is right outside, right over the air. He kind of go inside. Why are you sitting outside? A dangerous place. So Nichnas V'Yashav Beis Medrash. He went inside Beis Medrash with Doris Kol and Kulei and Darshan the whole day. So it's seemingly over here that what? That you're allowed to, even though it's outside Tchum, you're allowed to go inside a city if it was clear that that's where you would have wanted to be. So the Gemara says, Misham Raya. Why is that a proof? Shama B'Liba Haisa. Maybe he actually did want to go there. He just happens to be didn't have kayak to move more. How do you know what he was thinking? You didn't know what he was thinking. Maybe he did know. In the case of the Mishnah, we're talking about a case. We made up a case where a person doesn't know. However, you don't know what actually happened in the story. Or maybe the Beis Medrash was in the Tchum. It doesn't say in the story over there that the shul was not in the Tchum. When you decided that he has the whole city, that he can go outside because his mind was there, so he becomes like one of the people in the city, he has the whole city to move around. Who says? Maybe the Beis Medrash that he went to was inside the Tchum, and therefore he sat in Beis Medrash and he darshan the whole day.
Inside his Tchum.
Inside his Tchum.
Yeah, not the city.
That's right. Okay, next Mishnah. Mishi Hashem Derech. So we know like this. We know that when a person makes shvisa, he has to have in mind to make a certain place his domain, his shvisa, and then he could have 2,000 amas around that. However, if he does not have a mind, right? We'll see soon exactly how that works. If he doesn't have a mind, it could be that a person does not have 2,000 amas. It could be that he has no shvisa, and it's as if he's traveling and he'll only have the 4 amas around him. Okay, so let's see the next Mishnah. Mishi Yashem B'derech, if somebody falls asleep on the way, V'lo Yoda Shecha Shecha Yesh Le'alpayim Amalachol Ruach Divrei Bechem Benuri. What happens if a person falls asleep Friday afternoon and he takes such a good Friday afternoon nap, he wakes up after the Chadaidi and it's night and he wants to make Kiddush. So the question is, does he have 2,000 amas around him or not? Why? Because the truth is that when normally you have to be kind of shvisa, like I said before, you have to be kind of shvisa in order to have 2,000 amas. However, if he was sleeping, it's not possible for him to be kind of shvisa because he was sleeping. He cannot have in mind that he wants this place to be his domain. If you're sleeping, it's not possible. However, Rabbi Yechon Manuri holds that you do not have to have anything in mind. It goes automatic. Wherever a person is, automatically he has 2,000 amas around him, and that's good enough. However, the Chacham Maimrim ain't le'el arba amas. The Chacham say that because he did not have in mind to be kind of shvis over there, therefore he only has 4 amas around him. Rabbi Leza Eimer, that you know how we count these 4 amas? These 4 amas are counted like he's in the middle. Normally we have like this. Let's say this is 4 amas. So normally we say that if a person's standing here, he has 4 amas all the way this way, and he has 4 amas on the other side of him. All around he has 4 amas. However, Rabbi Leza says no. You know what 4 amas means? 4 amas means when he's in the middle. So now he only has 2 amas on one side and 2 amas on the other side. He doesn't have the full area of 4 amas.
What he does.
He has 2 amas on each side. He doesn't have 4 amas around him. He has 2 amas around him, which is a total of 4 amas. Right. That's Rabbi Leza's more machmer. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees, and he says that no, they have 4 amas on each side of you, and it does not mean that you're in the middle. Rabbi Yehuda agrees that if he chose which direction he wants to be, then he cannot change his mind. That means if a person decides that his 4 amas is going to be on the east side, so then that's his property. He cannot go, he has a total of 4 amas. He can't have a total of 8 amas, so that means normally a person doesn't know where he's going to go, so he has 4 amas on each side. However, if a person chooses that the east side is going to be his property, so then that's the side he has, and he cannot change his mind. What happens if you have a total of 6 amas, and you have 2 amas overlapping? You have as follows. You have 2 amas overlapping, so we have like this. Like this. You have 4 amas, and another guy's next to him. So, their 2 amas are overlapping each other. They have 2 amas that they can share their meals. Ubilvad shelo yetze zeh mitech shelo. However, they each cannot go out more than 2 amas of what they have. So again, they have a total of 6 amas. One of them was kind of 4 amas on one side. One of them was kind of 4 amas on the other side. They overlap 2 amas. So everybody has a right to share in those 2 amas. But the guy on the right does not have a right to go further than 2 amas. And the guy on the left does not have the right to go further than those 2 amas.
So they have 6 because it's 3 and 1 and 3 and 1.
No.
They overlap.
One guy has 4, one guy has 4. They happen to overlap 2. So in the common area, they can eat together. However, he doesn't have a right to go further than this, and the guy over here doesn't have a right to go further than that.
Right, that's how you get
Okay. And they can't go more than that. And what happens if you have 3 people? If I have 3 people, so I have 2 people together and I have 4 in the middle. So that means that the guy in the middle overlaps 2 to his right and 2 to his left. You got it?
Got it.
The guy in the middle overlaps 2, like over here. The guy in the middle overlaps 2 to his right and 2 to the left. So we have again. If I have 3 people and the middle one is overlapping beinein, hu mutar imahen, he is mutar to go 2 amas to the left and 2 amas to the right with each of them. And they also have the same right with him. However, the 2 people on the side, which they're right next to each other but they do not overlap, they cannot share anything with each other because they're not allowed to go out of their 4 amas. Amar Reb Shimon, Lamar David Aimer, what is this similar to? So too, if you have houses, and each house has a front yard, and all 3 yards are attached to each other, and they're also open to Rishus Rabim, if the 2 of them make an Eruv with that means Eruv Chatzeris together with the middle one, he is mutter to carry to theirs, and they're mutter to carry to his. However, the 2 outer ones don't have an eruv; they make it a common area, so therefore they're not allowed to carry with each other. But the middle one is allowed to carry to each, whichever one he wants. Yes. Yes. The question.
Even though that when there's 1 in the middle and the 2 on the side
Next to each other.
They can't walk into each other's area, but can one put out his hand and the other take, just like...
that's carrying.
But in Shabbos we have...
right, so wherever it's...
push it to...
Shtaim Shein Arba, but we learned that it's usher to do that. Right, Shtaim Shein Arba, we learned that Midrabanan, it's usher, you're not allowed to stick your hand in. Potter V'Asser. Okay, so you were still not heading there. Okay, so it's usher to do.
Rashi says, Afagav Dosel Lahalik Mutal Haiti.
No, the Rashi says you're allowed to throw, no? Okay.
So you could take, so they could exchange food just by, but not.
No, Rashi says Shalo you should say Yodo Tok Shtayim Chatzayim. You're not allowed to stick your hand in it. Okay. Where do you read that? It's aser to take in and take out from any of them. Okay. Zakti Gemara. Bayi Rava. Rava asks as follows: Maika Savar, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. What is the reasoning for Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri? So again, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds that a person, even if he's not kind of shvisa, right? A person, even if he's not kind of shvisa, then he still has 2,000 amas. That means that automatically, if a person is someplace, automatically around him, 2,000 amas is considered his domain, right? It has nothing to do with what he thinks. There's no brains attached. All you have to do is be there, and automatically you have 2,000 amas around you. So, by Rava, my kasavar Rabbi Yochanan. What is the reason for Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri? Misbar kasavar chaftzei hefker kainen shvisa. He holds obviously that chaftzei hefker. That means like this: that we have another halacha. The halacha is that not only does a person kind of shvisa, not only does a person have a shvisa, a domain of 2,000 amas around him. A property also has that. So let's say you have a piece of property that's hefker. It doesn't belong to anybody. Wherever it is, it has. Let's say it's in the middle of not a middle of the city, middle of the wilderness. It has 2,000 amas around it. That is considered its domain. And if let's say you come and your tchum overlaps. So let's say your tchum is over here till here, and the property's tchum is till here. So you meet it over here, and you want to pull it more eastward towards your original tchum outside of the property's tchum, you will not be able to do that. It will be usher. A property itself has a tchum, and you cannot take something out of the property's tchum even though it's in your tchum. Obviously, that's what he holds. So, in Cain, let's take it a step further. In Cain, a person, or a step less, a person that's sleeping, even though he didn't have a mind to be kind of shvisa, even though he did not have a mind to have a domain, it's still he still has 2,000 amos around it. Because if property can have 2,000 amos around itself, so definitely a person that's sleeping can have shvisa, tchum around himself. So let's see. So he says like this. And the truth is that the machlekes could have been in Kaim. The machlekes between Bergman and the Chachamim, if a kli, if property has 2,000 amos around it or not, could have been Mekalim. That means Bergman would hold that even property has 2,000 amos around it, and the Chachamim hold and no, that because a property doesn't think, it doesn't have 2,000 amos around it, or maybe it could be that it's really attached to the person. However, Adam, you know why we're arguing the machlekes is by a person? It's going to teach us the kech, the strength of the Rabbanan, that is so machmir that if a person doesn't think that he does not have 2,000 amos. That what? The avagav the iklam near kana. If he would have been up, he would have been kind of 2,000 amos. Yashanami kana kamash malan. He says as follows, very simple. There's one difference between a human being and a property. A property can never think, and can never have a mind that it's going to have 2,000 amos. Same case, I say that it doesn't have 2,000 amos, it only has 4 amos. However, a person which has the ability to think, and he has the ability to be kind of shvisa and have 2,000 amos, so I would think that even if he's just sleeping, obviously that's what he wanted, or obviously if he would have been up, he wouldn't have the power, so therefore he has the potential power, so he could be kind of shvisa. Kamashman to know that if you didn't think, you snooze, you lose. Okay. So
also they can have bilam. If somebody picks it up,
that's why we said we're talking about the machlekes of. Oh, you mean that it could have had bilam?
Right.
Okay, so we're not comparing to a dead person. That person could have been alive. We're talking about a person that actually has the power to be. He's snoring now. He's snoozing. He's a little out of it, but he has the power to do something. A kli doesn't have the power to do anything. It goes after the owners. Right now it doesn't have an owner. It doesn't have anything. Okay. Or I would say no. Or I say the truth is like this. The truth is that I do need brains. And I have to have the power at least to be able to think that I want to be kind of shvisa. And Kalim, Rabbi and Benuri would agree that it is not kind of shvisa. This is going pulling even further away from what you were thinking. That we say that the property, because it's never empowered to think and be kind of shvisa, it can never be kind of shvisa. However, a human being, even if he's sleeping, I say that because he has the power to think. So then I say that even if he's sleeping, he's still kind of shvisa, and therefore he has 2,000 amos according to Rabbi and Nuri, and according to Chaim, we don't go according to potential, or we don't go according to power. We have to actually think, and we have to have a mind to be kind of shvisa, and then you're kind of not. Okay, so now we're going to prove what Rabbi and Nuri holds. All right, Yosef, Tashema. Gesham Shiar Dum Erev Yontif. What happens if I have rain that lands and it rains Erev Yontif? Now I have a pool or a puddle, whatever it is. I have an area where I have water that landed. So this water was kind of shvisa. So imkain yesh lahen alpayim ama l'chol ruach. They had 2,000 amos l'chol ruach. Okay, so if I have water that lands Erev Yontif, so it landed already Erev Yontif. So right before Yontif came in, it was kind of shvisa on the ground, and I have 2,000 amos in each direction.
What does that mean? That the water has...
That means very simple. That means, here, look at the Gemaras. We see like this. Let's say the water lands over here, right? The water lands over here. Now, we say it's kind of shvisa, so it has 2,000 amos. Now I have a guy that's standing over here. His tchum is till here, right? It's till here. Yeah. Okay? So now he comes in on Shabbos. And he's allowed to, I'm sorry, the word is over here. He wants to go and take it out inside his tchum, but it's outside the water's tchum. He's not allowed to do that, because the water itself has its own power that has 2,000 amos, and he can't go and take it out further than that, even though he's allowed to go there. The water can't. Okay? B'yantif, what happens if the water lands on Yantif, it rains on Yantif? Then a person could take it to wherever he's allowed to. So in the same case, let's say it's outside the 2,000 amas of the water itself, but it goes according to the person, according to the human being that wants to take it away, and it goes according to his power. Now his power is, his kind of shvisa is way further, so he's allowed to take it as far as it's mutter for him to take it.
What if he drinks the water? Is he allowed to go back to his own food? He's still carrying it?
No, it's not such a silly question, because like, let's say a person has food in his mouth, is he allowed to go out or not? So food in your mouth is considered carrying. Once in your body, it's not. Okay. So B'yantif harein karagli adam kol adam. B'yantif, we'll see later on. B'yantif, it's not considered landed. So Yantif, when something comes out of a place where it's not possible to make a tchum, wherever it lands in a property, wherever it lands, it has the full power to go as far as possible. It won't be kind of shvisa. You got that again? A place. That's a good question. Hold on. Very good. A little patience. So again, something that comes out. We'll see in the Gemara soon. But something that comes from a place that you cannot be kind of shvisa. Let's say someplace that's higher than 10 tvachim high, you cannot be kind of shvisa. Or in a boat, or in the clouds, you can't be kind of shvisa. In a place that you cannot be kind of shvisa, wherever it lands, it will have the power of the person that's carrying it. You got it? Or let's say a person lands in the city. Let's say a person's traveling on a boat, and he lands in the city on Shabbos. He has the full power to go in the whole city on Shabbos or Yantif. He has the full tchum of the. We don't say that wherever he lands, he has 2,000 amas, and he is kind of shvisa at the edge. We say now it starts again. So too by the water. So we say like this. May be Yantif harein karagli adam. It could go wherever he wants. So the Gemara says like this. Now the water when it landed, it was hefker. Right? Chances are, wherever it landed, it's hefker. So if you say that hefker kind of shvisa, so it's very simple. You know why something landed Erev Yantif, we say it has 2,000 amas around it? Because it's going according to Rabbi Nuri. Haman Rabbi Nuri. But if you're going to say according to the second lotion, that hefker property is not kind of shvisa. It's not going according to Rabbi Nuri, and it's not going according to Rabbanan, because they both hold that by property you only have 4 amas. So if something landed Erev Shabbos or Erev Yantif, it's not kind of shvisa, because property is never kind of shvisa. Same case, what's the shot in that brisa that we learned that it has 2,000 amas, that's not going according to anybody? Yossi Abai, Abai was saying the Shmaitza. Amalei Rav Safra, Abai have a Doma. I have a different answer. What's the answer? You know why you have 2,000 amas? Because this water never landed outside the Tchum. It's very simple. Everybody has outside the city 2,000 amas. Now anybody can go and carry this water because it landed in the Tchum. So normally you're right. If it's outside the Tchum and it's hefker, it only has 4 amas. However, it's in the city or next to the city, it has 2,000 amas to the city. And the people that dwell in that city, their mind is on that water. Their mind is on the water that's all around the city, and therefore they have a right to it. And we'll see soon that if they have the right to it, so then it goes according to that city. No, it doesn't make sense. Why? We learned in the Mishnah, what happens if a person has a bar? So we say the property of that person, the water, the bar of that yachid, karagla yachid, goes according to him. So that means a person's living outside, he has a bar in the middle of outside his tchum. Right? Now a person outside that tchum, it's not hefker. We're not talking about a property that's hefker. It's not hefker. So if it's not hefker, he has a tchum. Wherever his tchum is, that's where his bar is. Right? So now another person that his tchum overlaps that water cannot go and take the water outside the water's tchum, but inside his own tchum. Why? Because it was already set aside. It was already established, like the yachid, like the person that owned it. It was already established according to his tchum. And what happens if a city owns the water? It's whatever they decide. That means that it has the power for the whole city to carry that. What happens about the water pits, cisterns, whatever it is? What happens if it belonged to Eila Bavel? Now, Eila Bavel were public pits of water that were meant for those that are traveling. Now, do they have the right to move that water as far as they want? So you say, yeah, the pits that are there for the Eila Bava are so public that they take on the rights of the person that's carrying it. So again, a water that's owned by a private person has the power, the tchum of the private person. If it's owned by public, by a city, it has the power of the city. Now sometimes water is so public that it's meant for anybody that's traveling that it takes on the power that the person that's carrying, the person that takes it out of the water, out of the pit, it takes on his power and his rights, and he can take it as far as he's allowed to go. Vitania, we also learned in the Raizel, bar shel shvatim yeshlan alpayim amo, bar from shvatim which were public and people took wherever they wanted, it has 2,000 amas l'chol ruach. So we see kashin adadi, elav, shmamina. Obviously, so again, so we have two things. Either we have public water that's allowed to go only 2,000 amas. By the shvatim we say it's only allowed to go 2,000 amas, or we say that it takes on the rights of the person that's carrying it. How you gonna answer that stira? So the Gemara says, Allah Shemaina Harav Yechem Harav. It's very simple. One place is Yechem Nuni, one's according to Rabbanan. According to Rabbanan, it has its own domain. It has only 4 amas. So maybe sometimes it goes according to the person. However, according to Yechem Nuni, it has its own rights, and it can have 2,000 amas.
It's not public water; it's hefker water.
Kiyasa. Yes.
It's hefker.
Yes. Okay. Kiyasa lakamei der Yosef amalei. Hachi ka'amar Rav Safra v'hachi ha'hajulei. When Rav Yosef came, he said the truth is that Rav Safra said the same thing. V'hachi ha'hajulei, and I answered him the same answer. Amalei v'amayilei teimilei megufa. Why don't you answer him from the Bryce itself? Originally, we learned that what happens if water lands on Erev Yontif? We said that it has 2,000 amas, and we said, what do you mean? How does it have 2,000 amas? It's a riot or Yechem. We said no. Then maybe it's talking about within the city limits, and therefore it has 2,000 amas. Yeah, you remember? We said it originally has 2,000 amas around the city, and we said that it means that it's in the city limits, and therefore it's not a riot or Becham Manuri. The reason why it has 2,000 amas is because it's within the city limits. Right. So the Gemara says, if this is true, if the only reason why you're allowed to carry because it's within the city limits, Askina, that's what we're talking about. We never find this lashon that the person, when he's in the city limits, he has 2,000 amas. We never find that. Whenever some property or person has the power of the city, we always say karagli ansheir. So over there also, if the only reason why the water that lands on Erev Yontif can be carried 2,000 amas is because it's within the city limits, then it should have said karagli ansheir. It should not have said that it has this independent idea of 2,000 amas. That's not what's going on here. Whenever we find that it's because of the city, we find that it says karagli ansheir, not 2,000 amas. Same case, we have a proof from the brisa itself. We don't need the second brisa of the different pits, the different people that it belong to. We have a proof from the brisa itself that says that there is water, the land's Erev Yontif, that's kind of shvisa for 2,000 amas, even though it's outside city limits, and that's proven. Okay, Amar. The Yontif, now let's go back to original halacha. We learned that that if rain lands on Yontif, then you can carry it as far as a person may. So the Gemara says, Amar, b'Yontif rain karagli adam. Now why is that? V'amai, likni shisa b'kainas. Now everybody knows that when it rains, right, the water comes up from the oceans and it goes into the clouds and it comes down. So we're assuming like this, that maybe this water maybe came up this day and it went up from the kindness from the oceans, from the water on the earth, and create clouds, and now the water is in the clouds, and then it comes down. So originally it was down here, then it goes all the way up, and then it comes back down, so it's outside its tchum. So if it's outside its tchum, it can only be dalar amas. You cannot carry more than dalar amas. So the Gemara says, let's say that it was kainish shvisa b'kainis, and now it's outside its tchum, so it should only be dalar amas. How can you tell me that it has the power to go as far as a person can take it? So the Gemara says, let's say it's not going according to Rabbi. Everybody gets water from Me'ekainis. Obviously, we see from this that maybe clouds has its own source of water. Who says the water comes, or maybe it comes earlier? Who says the water comes from the ocean, and then if it came from the ocean, so then it went up and it came back down, so it's outside its tchum? Maybe we'll say, obviously we'll prove from this, that if you're allowed to take water that rains on Yontif, you're allowed to take it as far as you can. So obviously, the water that comes from the cloud, rain that comes from the clouds, is not coming from the oceans. Yeah, we got it?
Kodesh Shvis in the clouds. And the clouds are Chutz L'Tchum.
Unbelievable question. Let's see the Gemara. Okay? So the Gemara says like this. You know what we're talking about over here? The truth is the clouds got the water from the oceans. However, the clouds are here already Erev Yantif. Same Cain, they went outside the Chum before Yantif, which is not a problem. And now it just came down now, so therefore it's not it's not restricted to only 4 Amas. So the Gemara says, you think that it's the same clouds. Maybe it's different clouds, and it's new clouds that just came today, and it did go outside the Chum. So he says, the Islahu Sumana Begavai. He knows, he recognizes the different shapes of clouds, and he recognizes that cloud. Viva Isema, have a suffix to the Vram. The truth is, a suffix. You're right. I don't know if it's new clouds or it's old clouds. I don't know if it's this water that went outside the Chum, or it's this word that did not go outside the Chum because it came from yesterday. But it's suffix to the Vram. It's only a suffix to Rabbanan. The suffix to the Vram, lo Hako. So the Gemara asks his question, look at Shvisa above him? I don't understand. You said that the only place a person can have Shvisa is in the oceans. What do you mean? You have clouds up high. Why doesn't the water be kind of Shvisa in the clouds? And now when it rains down, it's more than 2,000 Amas.
Outside the Tchum.
It's outside the Tchum, so it was kind of Shvisa, and now when it landed, it is outside the Tchum. So it's outside the Tchum, I only have the Aladamas. Not because it went up and then down. Just because it went down, it was kind of Shvisa up, and now it's down, it's already outside the Tchum, even though the original water does not come from the oceans. So the Gemara says, so we see from this, there's no such thing as Tchum higher than Yud. Okay? So there's no such a thing as being kind of Shvisa higher than Yud. And if you are higher than Yud, when you go down, you could be kind of Shvisa right over there. Because if there is, you're right, so it should be kind of Shvisa, and then I shouldn't be able to touch it. So the Gemara says, so they say, no, the truth is that you can be kind, it's not a proof. Maybe you can be kind of Shvisa higher than 10 Tfachim. However, the water inside the clouds, it's not that it's in one place. It's moving around. So if something's moving around, it's not kind of Shvisa. If it's constantly in motion, like a boat, it's constantly in motion, so it's not kind of Shvisa. Right, so it's not like it doesn't have place. Okay, we'll see in a second. The Gemara has a little variations. Outcome.